Welcome, welcome, one and all, to another episode of Marcus Farrell Live. We are all the way live. This is February 16th, 2026. And I hope you guys had a happy Valentine's Day. I hope you guys had a good weekend. The All-Star game was fantastic. We're going to get into a couple of topics today because it is what it is. You know me. If you watch me before, you know what I'll be talking about. You know what I'm on. Let's get free. Let's stop the tyranny that's in America right now. Today's topics are Bessie Coleman, and she flew away. Vladimir, the man who made light affordable. Trump and the Epstein files. What's happening right now? And we're going to start it off with the main point for today, which is why conservatives think that black people don't pay taxes. Yeah, I know it's a weird one, but why do conservatives actually think that black folks don't pay taxes, right? And the quiet power moves behind all the noise of the Trump administration. We're going to get into why conservatives believe and think that black people don't pay taxes. The myth exists because it's not emotionally useful, not because it's statistically true. Black Americans pay federal income tax. They pay payroll tax, Medicare tax, Social Security taxes, sales taxes, gas taxes, property taxes. Yes, even renters. Black buying power exceeds somewhere about $1.5 trillion annually. And that's taxable economic participation. But why does this myth survive? Because in the mid-20th century, government assistance was framed differently in media language. White families were described as having aid and relief, and black families were labeled welfare. Now, why am I bringing this up? Because there's a certain level of otherism when it comes down to conservatives and their talking points when they speak of inner cities, when they speak of black communities. They always have this thought process that their money, right? Like their money is being spent, right? Like their money is being spent in black communities, not like our money isn't. And I'm here today to break down this misconception of why it's the exact opposite. With all the amounts of money that the black community pays, right? This needs to be known. There's more money that goes out of our community than stays in our community when it comes down to the American tax system. So the myth that I'm paying taxes because the welfare queens need to be sitting at home and having babies all day is a complete lie and a farce. We can get into the proper talking points of who's on welfare in America. Who's the largest amount of people that are on welfare in America? Well, there's a certain region and it's a certain color, and that is white folks in the Midwest. And I don't like poverty. I don't want anyone to be poor or broke or hurting in general. But the myth that conservatives have pushed for years about the tax structure and how they pay taxes for people in inner cities Black and brown communities to survive is a complete falsehood. And I wanted to clear that up today. In the 1970s and 80s, amplified the welfare queen stereotype. It stuck. Meanwhile, the raw numbers, the largest demographic groups receiving public benefits has consistently been white Americans because they are the largest demographic group in the country. Population math is not partisan. Redlining, unequal school funding, highway constructions that cut through Black neighborhoods, discriminatory lending, and you get communities that generate tax revenue but receive unequal reinvestment. And here's the TurboTax truth about it. If Black people don't pay taxes, why does TurboTax tax us like we owe it money every month, especially in April? Exactly. So let's get rid of that myth. I'm gonna move forward real quick. Trump and the Epstein files. The story is no longer about the documents, that whether the documents exist. It's about scale, redactions, and political fallout. As of this year, millions of pages tied to the Epstein investigations have been released under federal transparency mandates. The volume is enormous. Over 3 million new pages added recently. But the problem is they're mostly redacted. Political figures from both parties have been referenced to varying contexts. There's growing tensions over the redactions, what is visible and what's not. Some reports describe previously unreleased investigative notes resurfacing claims about who knew what and when. Last Monday, Pam Bondi testified in front of Congress, and when asked about certain redactions that she made and the Justice Department allowed to happen before it got previously released, she became violent and hostile. You know, they have the angry Black man trope. Pam Bondi is the angry Black man trope. How she responded in those hearings were completely unprofessional. Completely unprofessional. Being mentioned in the documents is not the same as being charged. Logs, contacts, and investigative notes vary in significance, but politically, optics matter more than nuance. This is where distraction and politics kick in. And I think a lot of what the Trump administration does, I think a lot of what Trump does, I think the whole reason why he went ahead and just put the Obamas as guerrillas. First off, I need conservative folks to understand something. Trump supporters who understand something. That doesn't bother us. Because Black people know you're racist already. The problem is your default go-to when you want to distract America from real issues, like ICE and like the Epstein files. Now, I'm not sitting up here saying racism is not a real issue, but if you think that it's not lost on us that you bring up the Obamas the week that it starts getting hot, you do a really racist thing online the week that it starts getting hot. Donald Trump is not the smartest man, but he's not a complete idiot. He knows what he's doing. That's why he changes the topics. That's why he distracts us, and we have to keep our eyes on the prize. I ain't gonna stay on here long. I just wanted to go ahead and get a couple things out there. I got two historical figures that I want to talk about. Clip this, follow it, save it. I'm talking about Bessie Coleman. When America said no, Bessie Coleman left, leveled up, and came back licensed. Born in 1892 in Texas to two sharecropping families, Bessie wanted to fly. American Flight School said no because she was Black and because she was a woman. So what did Bessie do? Bessie went off and learned French, moved to France, and earned her pilot's license in 1921. The first Black woman in the world with an international pilot's license. And here's the only funny moment, quick and iconic. Picture America watching her land back home with a license like, oh, you meant I couldn't fly here. That's fine, because I went somewhere where I could. And that's the energy. She refused to perform at shows that had segregated entrances in the 1920s. She turned aviation into activism before most people could spell integration. She passed away at 34. But she proved something permanent. If the door won't open, build an airport. Amanda says, I spoke to an elderly white lady that voted for Trump, but she sounded leftist as hell on her beliefs. And I'm like, how the are you voting Republican? Well, because, I mean, there's a couple of reasons. One of the main reasons is the otherism. Another reason that we have to be very honest about it is the former vice president that ran for president was a black woman. And there's a lot of people who can't see themselves supporting a black woman. Point blank, period. There were a lot of technical things that went on with the campaign also, like the Harris campaign not having a lot of time to take off and be everywhere that they needed to be. But one of the main things is institutional racism and the mentality that folks have to answer that statement. This is my last thing, and then I'm going to get out of here because I told y'all I'm going to make it short, quick, and sweet. By the way, if you follow me, thank you for following me. Subscribe to my pages. I've taken off on Instagram recently. I had over 3 million views in the past 10 days on Instagram. So go over there and see what I'm doing. Y'all know the videos I rock with. You know what I mean? So please feel free to go over there. And if you like good history, and if you like a political analysis from a black viewpoint, then feel free to always join me. Louis Vladimir. Thomas Edison gets the spotlight. Louis Vladimir made the spotlight last longer. Louis Vladimir was born in 1848 to parents who escaped slavery. He became a draftsman, an engineer, and an inventor. And here's the part that people skip. Thomas Edison did not originally invent the long-lasting filament for the light bulb. Early light bulbs burned out quickly. Vladimir discovered a carbon filament manufacturing process that made electric lighting more durable and affordable. In other words, he didn't just help invent light, he made it usable. He made it usable. He also worked on patents for Alexander Graham Bell and wrote one of the first technical books on electric lighting. Here's the American pattern. Black engineer improves the system. The system remembers the brand name. That's not bitterness. This is history. Without Vladimir's work in electric lighting, wouldn't have been scaled the way it was. Cities wouldn't glow without infrastructure. Infrastructure doesn't glow without engineers. He helped build the modern world, and most textbooks still whisper his name. Some folks got statues he got forgotten about, but that's perfectly fine, and that's why I'm here. Anyway, I appreciate everybody for joining me. This has been Marcus FERRELL Live. Have a great week. Peace.